George, I know you use the images of school chart extensively. Talk to me about why that's so important.
Well, I do use it a lot, and I enjoy using it with different kinds of audiences. I guess I've used it for about 6 or 7 years. I think it was about 7 years ago that Phil created this chart, and it has been presented, I know, in Leading for Learning and perhaps in one of his earlier books. But the reason that Phil created it was because he felt like that people needed to have some orientation in terms of their image or their picture or the way they see their school or their school district. And so, as you know, at the center, we spend a lot of time talking about mental models and whatnot. What I'm not sure that I realized, but I now realize, is that this is a very valuable tool for individuals and groups to reflect, to have conversation, and to actually assess in the sense that they could reach consensus about which of these boxes on the chart look most like or more like us. Which reflects our school or our school district, and how do we see our core business, and how do we view the role of student and teacher, and so on and so forth. And so I found it to be a terrific tool in that regard. Very, 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 very useful, and the conversations that have resulted have been, I think, very engaging, and the feedback has resulted, has also confirmed that it's been very, very engaging as well.
You know, when you've done this with schools and you've used it, what would you say has been the feedback of what they realize as a result of the experience you take them through using that?
Well, often when we work with groups around working on the work or changing roles or leadership development and those kinds of things, it becomes a very personal thing. And what I think using the chart helps to do is to help people see that the organization really matters. And as in this particular instance, there's a dramatic difference between the learning organization and those other mental models that are presented. They're really different in type. And our argument is that it's in the learning organization where the highly engaged school and classroom live, where the core business is designing engaging work for students and leading them to success in that work, where students really are viewed as volunteers and knowledge workers and teachers as leaders and designers and guides to instruction and so forth. And so it helps people to see that the organization matters, and that if we're going to get there, then we really do have to attend to transforming the organization from a bureaucracy into something that looks more like a learning organization. And these other models are more bureaucratic in nature. The service delivery system, the factory, the warehouse are very much about compliance, either strategic compliance or ritual compliance. The prison is very much about containing rebellion. And so it's not that they're bad organizations, it's just simply that if we're going to meet the challenge of providing a quality education for all kids and having kids learn at a more profound level, then we're going to have to think about school as learning organization more so than simply bureaucracy. And that's why it's so critically important. And so, as you know, often in our work we say we're not just designing work, we're also about designing systems and creating the conditions so that teachers can design engaging work for kids. And so this chart kind of helps that come alive, if you will, and helps people to see that. I might also add that the roles as defined in the chart are critically important. And what's different about the leadership, about the learning organization, is that these roles are defined as leadership roles, not simply management roles. So if you look at the learning organization, you see more examples of leadership. If you look at these other bureaucratic kinds of models, you see more evidence of management. Not to say management is a bad thing, and I don't believe that leaders can be good leaders unless they're good managers. But often in a bureaucracy, the management functions are focused more on compliance, controlling people, classifying people, particularly today, both students and staff, and on rules and regulations. Whereas in the learning organization, it's what you do to get other people to do things. It's getting people to go places they've not been before. In the case of teacher, it's students. In the case of principal, it's teachers and perhaps community. And so all of these roles kind of interact with one another. And some of those roles are not perhaps central in the classroom, but they're very important in creating the conditions so that people in the community understand why we're transforming our schools, so that people inside of the system understand how their roles contribute to making this happen and to happen successfully. So, truth is, if all we're concerned about is kids passing tests and simply superficial learning, then I would say, don't worry about transforming your schools. The factory and probably the service delivery system will work just fine. On the other hand, if you want your kids to learn important concepts, important content at much deeper levels, then that would imply to me that kids are going to have to exert a whole lot more effort. And if kids have got to exert more effort, then somebody's got to earn that effort, and that's why designing engaging work is so important. And in order for that to happen, we got to think about an organization that is conducive to make that happen, so that people aren't swimming upstream all the time trying to go against the way the place is organized. That to me is the beauty of the organization, of the learning organization. And I think in some sense it's empowering to people who are doing the work, be they teachers or principals or students, in the sense that, I now get it, I understand that. What can we do together better so that our school or our school system looks more like a learning organization than it currently does. The whole notion of profound learning takes it to a much different level. And for that reason, I think we've got to think about roles differently, particularly the role of student. And obviously we believe that students are volunteers and we have to earn their attention, and they're knowledge workers. Teachers are designers, they are leaders, they are guides to instruction, and those two pieces go together very handsomely, I think. And when that works, then what happens is you got a school that's clearly focused on students, that's clearly focused on what it is that we do to improve the quality of experiences provided to students that result in them learning important stuff at a much deeper level. That's really what it's all about. And so here's a picture of how to think about it, not how to make it happen. That requires a whole lot of work and a whole lot of energy and a whole lot of effort on the part of adults. But it provides a picture so that we can have conversations using a common language about what we're about here. But we have to decide, what is it we're about? The factory, the service delivery system, or we really want to go to where the learning organization suggests that we take us. That's what it's about.
I think people are very familiar with the bureaucracy. We've lived in it. And we see that the top row is that of a learning organization. But I think people find that hard to wrap their head around what that really means or looks like. So would you talk about that a little more?
Well, it is hard to sometimes get your head into it and understand it. One of the strategies that I often use is to get people to think about some organization that they're a part of, or some place where they do business, where they're really treated like a customer, and they really feel valued, and they really feel like they're important, and get them to reflect on the kinds of experiences that are provided inside of that organization. What is it that organization does that results in you having so much commitment to them? That results in you having so much loyalty to them. And then let's take that back to our organization, to our school, our classroom, our school district, and what kinds of things do we do to earn the commitment of students? What kinds of things do we do to earn students' attention? I don't know if you find this true or not, but I often experience this, that it's really difficult to get people to understand that we have to earn students' attention. Because most of us came through school with the belief that students owe adults their attention. And so it really reframes the whole argument when you ask, what is it we can do to earn students' attention? Because if they're going to put forth great effort, then we have to earn their attention. They're not going to do that if we don't earn their attention and gain their commitment and help them see meaning in the experience, and they're provided work that results in them persisting in that work. And so if we don't get that part and really begin to think about our students and the role of students in different ways, then I don't believe that it's going to happen. I've also learned that and I'm sure you have experienced this as well, if teachers aren't treated that way, then it's hard to make the leap to treat students that way because teachers are also volunteers. And particularly when we're asking them to do their work in different ways, or we're asking them to help contribute to leading an organization that might not look like the one that they signed on to work in, we have to gain their commitment as well, and we have to earn their attention, and we have to give people some sense that this can be done, and that there's a better way to do our work, and there's a better kind of organization that we can move toward. And so in that sense, it's using this tool to reflect on where we are, but it's also creating some hope that this is where we can go. I don't know a single school or school district that's across the top of the board with a learning organization, but there are lots of them that are working to get there. And that's really what it's all about. It's really about what can we do together better, and what tools do we need to help us become more like this as opposed to like this. And so I think everything that we're about at the Schlechty Center is to help those who are actually doing the work, provide them with tools, provide them with processes, and provide them with hope that we can make this transformation to save public education, which I believe is the most important public institution that we have in our country.
You know, I hear you saying hope a lot. I mean, really trying to send that message of hope. And so that's key.
Right.
People feeling that there is hope.
Right. Well, it is key, and much of the rhetoric today is not about hope. It's about improving people. And it would appear as if it's based on a belief system that is grounded in having little trust in the people who work in our public schools. That we need to work on the teachers to make them better because they're not very smart and they're not working very hard. And we need to incent them and give them bonuses and merit pay so that we can get them to do what they already know how to do. And we need kids to go to school longer days and to be disciplined better, to get them to do work sometimes it's not worth doing to begin with. And so this whole notion of the way we treat people in service delivery, factory, warehouse, and certainly the prison is, I think, kind of hopeless. You know, it's doing time, it's complying with mandates from external places, whereas the learning organization is more about imagination, it's more about creativity, it's more about the thrill you get when you meet the needs of your students and you meet the needs of your parents and your community, and you meet the needs of your staff. And so there's an energy there, and I think energy and hope kind of go together. I don't know which comes first, but they both go together.